Welcome to Outlander Media Network. I'm Kirby Lee Bailey. We're in Nashville, Tennessee, getting ready for the exit in, and I'm with BabyJake in his home.
What's up? At my house. The first time I've ever done an interview in my house.
Hey, we did mine because, like I said, it's approximately 16 minutes from your house to our house.
Yeah, when you said Hermitage, I was like, yeah, this is too easy. Let's just do it this way.
We were thinking, do you stay here a lot here in Donaldson? Or?
I mean, this is my house. I bought this house, so I live here, but, I'm on the road like 6 months out of the year. So when I say a lot, half the year, I guess, 50% of the time. I love my house. It's just like, I love being on the road too. That's the only way you can really grow as a musician, I think, personally.
Like now in these time and days, because there's so much streaming and everything, it's like we talk to some artists and it's like, we feel like Cardi's because we're going from place to place with our merchandise and everything to get everybody to help us out on the road, and it just keeps us going on the road.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the road has never changed, right? Like, no matter what anybody says, in my opinion, the best way to get a true following that knows your music more than just one song or two songs or whatever is to continually play on the road. Like, I love going out on the road because, like, Boise's a perfect example. Boise is one of my biggest markets, even though Boise traditionally is a small market, a very small market for people, because I got the opportunity to play Shreveport Music Festival 2 years ago. And the first time that a lot of people were introduced to me in Boise was through live music. It wasn't through online. It wasn't through streaming. So when they saw the live show, they were like, oh, this guy's really cool. He puts in a lot of energy, because I do. And then I just kept coming back. I've played 3 more shows since then in Boise, and it just continually grows every time. So now when we go there, it's like a fucking riot because people learned about you in the live space versus like, Steve Lacy had a moment like this that went viral on TikTok. There was like 10,000 people at this concert or something, or 5,000, like a ton of people. And he got upset because people only knew one song. Right. And that's the challenge. That's like, TikTok's great. Instagram's great, social media is great, but at the same time, the way that you build a foundation that's going to be long lasting is with live music, and I think it's always been with live music.
Yeah, I see that gripe with the one song thing. We went to a concert years ago in Atlanta. Tommy Two-Tone, he sang a song called 8675309.
Yeah.
And it was in a little quiet area.
8675309.
Yeah. Well, we sat there the whole time watching him perform, and I'd done some clips here and there, but nobody had their phones out or nothing. And then when he started playing that one song, I watched every camera phone go up.
Yeah.
And it's like, you just know this one guy's song where I have the album.
Yeah.
Well, he had 2 albums, and I kind of there just to check out the whole show.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's the difference, right? I think that it's great. You can't complain about having one song that everybody knows. It's amazing to have a hit song, but it's a better thing to have a loyal fan base. I mean, you see that with bands like Fish, right?
Oh,
I'm not even a Fish fan. But like Fish can go and sell MSG out. That's crazy. From somebody who's just, and then you look back and you're like, okay, well, we get it. They were playing 200 shows a year for 20 years. It's like, yeah, it makes sense that they have a fan base that would come and sell that many tickets. They grind and they put on a show.
Well, the same as, got one band, for example, is a one-hit wonder, Grateful Dead. They only had one hit, but their shows were packed. Yeah. They could do.
And that caused the other songs to grow, because of that. I mean, Grateful Dead is like the most crazy example. Like, I want Grateful Dead fans big time. That's the fans I want. I want my fans to be like Grateful Dead fans because those fucking people go to like 15 concerts a year. Some of them go to like every concert, which is crazy.
Oh, I can't, we were at a concert not too long ago, Little Stranger.
Yeah.
And there was people had been to follow them from one city to the next. And that's amazing right there when people do that little number.
I mean, I feel like that's the best, like I said, like that's the Grateful Dead. They cultivated that. Really, if you look back, like they were one of the first bands to have that huge cult following of people that are willing to go and drive over and over again every night or every other night and go see you. I was just talking to Steve about this. There's these 2 girls that today will be the 4th show they've been to on this tour.
Really?
And she's like, I saw you in DC for the first time this tour, first time. She said, I saw you were coming. I liked some of your songs. I came to the show. I loved the show. I thought you put on a great show. And she's like, I knew from that moment you were my artist. You were going to be my artist, and you were going to be the person that I cared to and went to as many shows as I could. And so now we're trying to, we're signing this guitar that we've been playing that we're going to give to her tonight as a gift, because I just think that like those are the fans that, man, that changes your entire career. To have those people changes your entire career, and it's such a, you got to imagine that the Grateful Dead are very, no pun intended, are very grateful. Seriously, about their fan base. Yeah. It's true.
I mean, I'm the same way. I do have a band that I've been following for 25 years now, and I've gone to, I can tell you where I've seen them in concert. I don't know, is the Cottonmouth Kings sound familiar?
Not familiar.
Yeah, they've been around, they're an underground band, and I have seen them from like Atlanta to as far as Vegas.
Wow.
And then, and I get it. That's kind of fans you want to have coming to your show, that they just continue.
They're the best fans.
Word of mouth.
Yeah, it's the best fan. It's better when you have it's better to have 200 people that know every lyric than 2,000 that pull the phone out for one song.
Right.
100%. Like you want to have a fan base that is engaging, and like tonight will be a super fun show for me, especially because a lot of my friends are going because I live here, but it's like I go back to Boise. It's like, man, I walked out there because I walked out there to make sure and check that all the equipment was ready to go, and I ended up forgetting something at the end of the day. So classic story, right? But I went out there just for a second, not dressed up, not nothing, trying to kind of just go inconspicuously, and it was like the place erupted just for me walking on stage, and it was amazing to just know that came from people that heard me live and liked the show. Like my whole take on it is I'm trying to play as much as I can live. I would like to continue to play live. I'm already planning with my agent the spring tour right now because I don't want to take more than 2 or 3 months off. I think the way that my music, your music doesn't just have to break from social media or DSPs nowadays. You can break your music in a live platform. You just have to do a good job at cultivating a fan base and growing that fan base, growing a relationship with that fan base, and continually playing and believing in your music, Like nowadays something can blow up 5 years down the line because of social media. So
Right. That's like we were talking about before we started with the Murder on the Dance Floor.
yeah.
That song blew up last year. That song was released 2003.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden a movie comes on, because you never know what's going to be the next big thing. You never know with these artists. It could be, I guess your biggest song would be probably Cigarettes on Patios. That's your big one
For sure.
and everybody's always going to.
I mean, that's the phone one, right?
Probably.
But again,
But the best song is Anxiety.
it's good. It's a good song.
You're doing that, right?
I might do it. I might not. No, he's putting me on the pressure on the camera.
No pressure.
I think that I go back to it again. Like places like Minneapolis, Boise, Chicago, where I've played a handful of times already. It's those people there. They love cigarettes and they sing it, and everybody in the crowd sing it for sure because it's a big song. It was a hit, right? It broke through the barrier of what is a quote unquote hit. It was a baby hit. It wasn't huge, but it was big enough. But you'd be surprised how many people are asking for other songs in that audience that still love Cigarettes on Patios, but they're asking for it's crazy. This tour was crazy because I got to see fans in every city sing new songs off of Beautiful Blue Collar Boy, which was the album that I just released this year. That is by far, I think, my most proud achievement, and I think it's my best album. I mean, I think that I've had a lot of good songs, but this as a cohesive album and a project to me made the most sense out of anything that I've ever done. So to hear people sing those songs and recite those lyrics when the album's been out for 2 months, that's like a magical feeling. That's when it's like, okay, you don't really know if it's working based off of numbers online.
Right.
You know if it's working if you go to a show and people are singing it. That's how you know. Otherwise, if you go and you play, there's some cities where it didn't. You know, there's some cities where there's 150 people in the crowd and you're singing, and they know your old music more than your new music. But then you go somewhere like even Detroit, right? We had 100 people in Detroit, smaller market for me, and still it was It was one of my favorite shows because 70 or 80 people in there knew not one song, not two songs, 10 songs, 15 songs. That's like the most magical feeling when you're singing Ariane or Don't Hurt Me So Bad off of the new album and people are singing it with you, you know? And in my opinion, some of those songs off the new album as well, for me, feel the most authentic to perform too, just because I made them. Like literally the whole album was made in that room over there. So, and there's a drum room upstairs. I got wires going through the ceiling. So like, it's just a magical thing to know that we made it in a very live sense. And when you play it live, it connects. You don't have to make it connect. Like Cigarettes on Patios, when you hear it tonight, sounds totally different than the record. It sounds like some rock and roll shit, which is great. But we had to make it that. I had to get it there. Versus I play Don't Hurt Me So Bad or Ariane or Mama 212, you know, and it's just like, sounds like the record. And that's how it should be. That's how it should be. I think that my whole challenge early on in my career was learning, okay, I had never performed live really extensively, more than one or two shows until 3 years ago. So when I didn't get into this like a lot of other people where they played cover band gigs and they played, you know, shows at bars and acoustic gigs, or, you know, they studied music or whatever. I didn't do any of that. So for me, like for a long time, I was really scared of performing live. Now it's my favorite thing to do because I'm literally shape-shifting the way that I make music. Now I'm thinking, where's the moment? Where's the claps? Where do the iPhones come out? Where is the guitar solo? Does he step here? Does he do this? What can I do here while I'm producing the music in the studio? You know, so when you're thinking like that and then it translates live and it connects, that's the best feeling you could ever ask for, really, you know.
What all venues have you played here in Nashville?
Only two. Only ever had two shows in Nash. Basement East last year, great venue.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
Exit In Tonight, also great venue. The sound sounds really, really, really good, and I'm very excited to play in that room because of the sound, and I think we'll have a pretty good turnout. But yeah, Basement East and Exit are the only two. I would love to do Bonnaroo next year or the year after. We're trying to do that. Maybe do that. I can't remember the one in Franklin. There's a music festival.
Oh, it's called.
It's like
shit. I know Justin Timberlake headlined it 1 year. That's about 3 years ago.
Pilgrimage. Yeah. I was saying it's some medieval time shit.
Well, I remember Justin Timberlake. He headlined it about 3 or 4. Well, no, it was before COVID. It was been that long ago.
Yeah, but I would love to play that too, and just keep cultivating a fan base here as well. Because, like I said, a lot of people that are coming tonight are just friends of mine that, you know, work in music or other photographers or whatever. And I love Nashville and I love being here and I have a great community here, but I would like to continue cultivating the fan base here as well, to have something like I talk about in Boise or Minneapolis where it's like diehard raging fucking fans, you know.
Like what all you do around here when you're home? Like say we're from the Hermitage area. Yeah. I mean we were based out of Hermitage and Knoxville before we sold our home in Knoxville this past year and just got away from Knoxville altogether and just based straight out of here. We were running out 2 homes for a while because, you know, we would travel. Like if we want to do concerts in Knoxville, we'd go to Cincinnati, Johnson City, Atlanta, and then come this way to Nashville. So now that we're in Nashville, we're doing Huntsville, Birmingham, Louisville.
Yeah, you could also go to Arkansas too, Little Rock and stuff. What I do, I'm in that room like 90% of the time I'm in that room playing piano or playing guitar. I mean, I'm a very, like, the reason I named the album Beautiful Blue Collar Boy is because deep down inside, that's what, my dad's a shrimp salesman, you know, like, my dad's from Port Arthur, Texas, like, my mom's a Lithuanian immigrant, like, my entire upbringing was like, when I told my mom I was going to drop out of college and do music, she had a fucking heart attack. She was going crazy. She was like, you're insane. Be realistic. This isn't gonna happen, you know. And it did happen. I was very fortunate, very lucky. Worked very hard as well, but a lot of things lined up. And now, like, man, what do? I just like work out, go on walks, make music. I love music so much, and I feel I was in a bad spot for a long time where I wasn't having fun with it anymore because I was thinking about all the I need to be here, I need to do this. And
That's
so
the label.
so many people were in my ear about stuff, and then I left a major label, about 3 years ago, and did the independent thing, found my new label, Alter Records, which is an independent label out of New York, and that relationship has been amazing so far. They've been doing amazing work for me, and we really all get along, and we're all aiming towards the same goal. So I think once I started to really get out of that toxic situation I was originally in, I started to just fall back in love with life again and realize how lucky I am to even do music as a career. To be a musician, to go play a show, is a win. Even if there's 10 people or if there's 5,000, to me, I play it the same way every time. I leave it on the field as much as I can. And I was an athlete growing up too, so my discipline towards music is kind of like, I look at it like a sport. This is a sport, and I have to really treat it like I'm trying to do my best every night. Otherwise, it's very easy to start developing negative habits with it. So I think that my whole life is kind of structured around music, as crazy as that sounds, but I write every day. I'm always playing it. I play an instrument every day, whether I'm on the road or whether I'm at home. And most of the time what I do for fun is work on more music. I love pool. I love to play pool. I love to go bowling. I love summertime.
You must bowl next to the Planet Fitness, don't you?
Summertime. Which one? What's next to the Planet? Is it Strike and Spare?
I can't remember
Yep.
what. Yeah, the
probably.
Legends Bar right there.
Yeah.
I thought maybe you said you work out. I thought maybe you go to Planet Fitness and go bowl later.
No, I don't go to Planet Fitness, but I have bowled there a bunch before. I play pool more often. I go to Melrose Billiards, and I got a friend who works there at the bar, and she I can't be saying this on camera, but she sometimes hooks it up, lets me skip the list a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I go there, I play pool a lot, and we play pool on the road, but I don't know, I'm always working on music really, or just trying to develop my craft. I'm lucky to love what I do, and I really do, I love it so much. I love making it, and I've dove full force into production. I produced 7 out of 10 songs on this album myself, as the executive producer of the album and stuff. So I think that the majority of the time I'm just working on music, touring music, listening to music, pulling influence from other music, whatever, X, Y, and Z. If I'm not doing that, I'm probably either trying to soak up the sun outside, getting in tune with nature, or, I don't know, watching YouTube about gear or something. Doing something nerdy.
I mean, that's, like I said, we always, we go to the movies around here.
Yeah.
We, I work out all the time. I mean, I played football in high school.
Yeah.
I bet you played either basketball or
baseball. I
baseball.
played football and basketball. I was actually a better football player, but I loved basketball more. I played defensive end in high school. I weigh about 200 pounds now. I was 250 back then, so I was a lot heavier.
Well,
Love sports.
I was a defensive end in high school, years ago, and I was 151.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah.
You were sitting there saying 250. I
Yeah.
said, try 151 and try to fight your way through something.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, no, I loved sports. Sports played a big role in my life, I think, and taught me the discipline. I think that I take a lot of the discipline I learned in team athletics into music, and how my approach and my relationship with music is very much like I said, kind of the approach of an athlete. I look at it and I'm like, eventually I reach the point where it's like, okay, it's not so cool to get fucked up every night and go on stage when you sound like shit. It's better to just stay sober, play a good fucking show, go out there and keep improving and make notes and do this stuff, form a healthy relationship with it. I think a lot of people think music is just about getting drunk and having fun the whole time, when really, I mean, take anybody in the world, try to do 25 shows in 33 days.
Yeah, you got to be in shape for it.
You got to be in shape, and I'm singing. I'm not I'm not a little bit singing. I'm fucking singing.
And moving.
I'm moving a lot. I move a lot.
Singing and moving.
I move and sing, and I'm belting a lot of the time. A lot of my songs are a hard reach even for me to hit. So it's man, if I'm not taking care of myself, and then to get back from that, when you're on the road and you do lose your voice, as you can tell. I lost mine fairly recently. Now today, it's actually the last 3 shows it's been coming back, and today it actually feels almost full for the first time in a long time. But man, I lost it halfway through touring, and then to have to fight while you're still touring, And like, I don't know how they fucking, props to Steven Tyler and shit, but I don't know how those dudes were just juicing up and getting drunk every night and still singing like that, you know?
Well, it was a whole different thing back in the 80s.
That's why he has 3 vocal surgeries too, you know, and like has been to rehab for, you know, been sober for 30 years. It's like
I said, well, it finally caught up to Tyler because that's why they had to cancel. Had to cancel the tour. It finally caught up to him. I mean, you go to some of these bands that lived that hard life back in the 80s, and you see some of them perform now, and it's like, oh.
There's only a couple, like the Stones. I don't know how they're still doing it. It's crazy. I mean, rest in peace, Charlie Watts, but like, Mick is flawed. Like, but you talk to Mick now, and his interviews are like, oh yeah, I bring a gym on the road. A whole trailer on the road is just his gym equipment, and every day he does ballet like 3 times a week. He does yoga like 4 times a week. He works out every day. They say he runs a mile before every show. They say when he's on stage, he clocks in 12.1 miles per show in steps because he's walking. They have a 250-foot catwalk, and he's back and forth dancing and stepping, and it's a 2-hour-long show. You can't. I think he realizes at a certain point, it's like, oh, fuck, we're superstars now. Well, and now it's our responsibility to do a good show, you know?
Well, like one of the bands that did it for years and years and years, and you watch their shows, and to me, I always thought they were in the best shape of anybody, was actually Kiss.
Really?
I mean, they've got all that gear on, they're wearing high heel boots. The guy was 70, still out there.
That doesn't surprise me, though. I feel like those guys actually learned quickly to tone it down. You know?
Well, they sit there saying when they tried to put the old band together, when they came out with Psycho Circus back in the 90s, when they wanted to go with all 4 original members, and as soon as they got all together, all the same problems started with those 2 members that came back in the band, partying and wouldn't get it under control. Yeah. So we had to go back to the 2 people we had before. Yeah. You know.
Those guys are incredible too. They always sounded good. They never didn't sound good. They had a whole fucking thing. They created branding, you know, to the T like that. Actually, I'm really good friends with Paul Stanley's son, Evan. He's a good friend of mine. He lives in LA. When I used to live in LA, I used to see him all the time. He's incredible. It's actually one of the sweetest guys I fucking know. And he just explained to me how much his dad drilled into him not to be a fuck up. Because that's just what they were. Kiss was around that, but you're right, they were one of those bands that they might have had fun every once in a while, but they always sounded good. They always took it seriously. They always dressed up. They always did their fucking job. I mean, the Stones, you could pick a handful of concerts from the Stones, like 10 shows, and like 3 of them are going to be good. 3 of them are going to be dog shit. And 4 of them are going to be like, I don't know if this is good or not, you know, like literally. So I think there's not a lot of bands that, and the Stones are still one of my favorite bands of all time. I think they're incredible, but like.
That's why you did Beast of Burden.
Yeah, right. I did the cover of Beast of Burden, but at the same time, I think that, man, it's really cool not to be a fuck up.
Yeah.
It's really cool not to go and get fucked up every night and like actually take your career seriously when you care about it. I think we romanticize this life of like partying, and then you do it for a while and you're like, okay, this is cool, but like if I want to be here and not be like the rare guys made it out of that shit. More often than not, they died. Mm-hmm. Or they never became anything. I mean, you have Janis Joplin, you got Jimi Hendrix, you got so many people, you got Bono. You have so many people that were so amazing. You know, like Jimmy was amazing, you know, and just never made it. It's like,
well, you talk about that, like this shirt. You see this shirt right here?
Yeah, I was looking at that. Is that you?
It's me.
I was thinking it was
But
you.
Here's the thing. This was 20 years ago. That's going to be my 20th year claim. This is my mug shot in Davidson County 20 years ago when I hit rock bottom. And I'm celebrating in November 24th of this month will be my 20th year claim.
Man, that's amazing.
And I used to be I know what you're talking about. I was a train wreck. I mean, I got not only this, I even had the orange jumpsuit and got myself turned around after that little episode.
Yeah. And it's not cool.
No.
It's not cool. I mean, I'm not, and again, I don't want people who are watching this to say that I'm not saying, like, don't go have a drink.
Right.
Go have a drink. If you have a healthy relationship with it, that's great. But for a long time, even me, now I have a pretty healthy relationship with it. I don't ever drink at home. I have all 5 of those bottles right there are not mine. They're my roommates, literally. My roommate Curtis, he's amazing. But yeah, I think I don't know. For a long time and for the last 3 years, because I used to love to party and drink and do drugs and everything. And for the last 3 years, I started to be like, why am I doing this? And you start to realize you just have emptiness that you're having to filter out of yourself, and start to realize like, I don't know, do I love what I'm doing? That's why I had a question about my career and my music and everything that I was involved in. I was like, is this dragging me into the ground, or did I just lose sight of what this was? And I think I lost sight of it for a long time. And now I'm like, people are like, what do you do when you hit writer's block? I'm like, motherfucker, I never hit writer's block. Because I walk in there and I'm like looking at the piano and I'm like, oh my God, this is beautiful. Like somebody crafted this piano. Somebody put these keys on here. You know, that piano in there is from 1970. It was owned by a guy, 1969 actually, who was stationed overseas, and it only ever had 2 owners. One person in Hermitage, who I picked it up from, and that guy who was stationed overseas bought it for his wife to have a piano. She passed away. They had already brought it back to the United States. It just sat there. He got rid of it, sat in Hermitage for 15 years, and then I got it. And I look at it, and when I sit down, I'm like, God, this shit is amazing. Somebody built this. There's like, this took so much time and care and everything. Like, I never have writer's block anymore, man, because I feel lucky to be here. I feel so lucky to be here and be alive and be, you know, doing anything productive with my life. You know, I have like, my whole family's a mess. Like, I got a great family that's super successful and very good, and then I got another side of my family that's just all like the fucking runouts and the, you know, the druggies and the alcoholics and all that stuff. And I've just spent so much time with both to be very thankful to just like still be doing this. And it took me a lot of push through to get out of my major deal. A lot of artists in that moment would have just been like, well, fuck it, I guess I'm done. You know? And for me to get out of that and push for 2 years of legal battles and like, you know, do this thing and have to deal with that and never give up and push through that just made me so grateful to be like able to do it at all. The fact that I can release music right now makes me grateful to just be here. So I feel you on that. Not to say, again, like I said, now I've developed a healthy relationship with alcohol, but I still don't drink. At home, I never drink. On the road, I barely drink. But like, tonight, might go out and have a drink. Last show of the tour, I'm like, let's go out and have a drink. You know, my friends want to go, they want to take me out, I'll do it. But for a long time, all those things, drinking, sex was a big one for me. Crutches, big crutches. And I had to take it all away for like, first time I went sober, I was sober for 6 months. Second time I went sober, I was sober for 3 months. Now I dabble with it. Now I just go sober. I'm like, I'm going to go sober, it'll be fun. Go sober for 4 months, whatever. My dad wants to share a beer, I'll share a beer with him. But my relationship, it took me that first 6 months to push it away to be like, man, what am I? Who am I? Like my whole life from 13, 14 years old to 24, 25 was just like, I'm from Fort Myers, Florida. Mm-hmm. All I wanted to do was like make money to party. That was making it, you know, like that was making it. Like if you would have told anybody that I grew up with, like Jacob Herring, he's gonna be a singer, they would have been like, yeah, okay, cool, yeah, and I'm gonna be a fucking astronaut. Like that wasn't a thing where I was from. It's not like I was born in New York City or LA or Miami or somewhere where, you know, you had people that were like producers that had children and, you know, artists that had children. Like to me, I didn't even meet a fucking artist until I was in my fucking teens. And I think it was like going to a Tom Petty concert for the first time or something, you know, like with my dad. Like I didn't get to meet him, but I got to see him in person at least, you know, and like until then it didn't register as a real thing to me. So I think for a lot of people, like it was the normal evolution. It was what you were supposed to aim to do. You were supposed to aim to make money so that you could go out and have fun with your friends. Which again, I want everybody to know, I'm being very clear. I'm not hating on that if you have a healthy relationship with it. But we're in currently, right here, we are in the most alcoholic capital of the fucking United States, by far, is Nashville. I mean, people drink in New York, people drink in LA, but in Nashville, it's like, it's very common. So I think there's a lot of lost people out here that just need to know that, like, I've been there, he's been there. Like, you gotta take a step out of it. Whether you come back to it or not is your own decision. But you gotta take a step out of it and be able to look at yourself from a third person and be like, why am I living life? And for a long time, that scared me to look at that, because then you get into, what is life about? What is the meaning of life? What happens when you die? X, Y, and Z, all of these questions that nobody knows, right? What am I building towards? Anything? What is this? Blah, 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 blah. But really, if you don't take a second to do that, you never get to look at yourself from the third person and go, this is why I'm living. And for me, the answer was simple. I'm very lucky to find something I loved early on. I lost the love because I got distracted and I started paying attention to everything else. And when I finally got the time to take a step back and observe myself from an outside perspective, I realized, oh my God, you got into this because you used to like picking up a guitar and writing a song. Now you're doing it because it pays your bills. And when I got back to picking up the guitar and writing the song because I like to, it's when everything else started to shift. And obviously, again, like I said, I had to do a lot of work on myself to get there. But when I removed all of that and found out who I was internally, you start to realize, you're like, oh my God, I'm the same fucking person that I was when I was 6. Like, if I like painting then, I probably like it now. If I like music then, I probably like it now. If I like going and doing hikes, probably like it now. If I liked football and I played football, probably still like it now. You know, like, you really don't change that much as an individual, and you think that this whole adult thing is real when you're a kid. And then you grow up and you're like, I remember when I was a kid, I was like, oh, they're adults. And then you grow up and you're like, man, there ain't no age that you just hit like 20 and you're like, I'm an adult. Like, no, that shit doesn't happen. Like, I know people that are 40 that are way more immature than I am. You know? So
why you put at me for?
No, but seriously, I think it's like, it's a very important thing to note, you know, especially for anybody who's young who's watching this. Like, there isn't a magical moment that you hit. We're still the same kid we were when we were 6 or 5 or whatever. You just develop and you get new opportunities and you get new experiences. But at the end of the day, you still got to know that who you are. And when you lose that, that's when we start going down that path. You know.
Well, it's like she makes fun of me. Like, when I go to work, I'm actually a nurse when I'm not doing this.
Oh, cool.
And I work with long-term care with the older people, and she watches me every night. Because I started working this job in Gallatin, Tennessee, and I started in July. And I have worked every day from my shifts from July to now, and I have wore a different top every shift. And people ask me, what's your closet look like at home? And it's just to keep them entertained and me entertained.
Yeah.
And it's therapeutic for me.
And you enjoy it.
Oh, I love it.
It makes you feel how you need to feel. Like, yeah, totally. I think that's, by the way, that's funny, you're a nurse. My side of the family that does pretty well. I don't know how to better phrase it. Well, it's all mixed up, but my oldest half brother, I have 3 half brothers. He's the VP of UVA's hospital. He was the director of nursing oncology at Stanford for years. And so before that, he had been doing nursing for his whole life. So I'm very familiar with that space. Actually, that's what they wanted me to get into, but
it is fun if depending on what kind of job you get. Yeah. Like, I had fun at my last gig. I did it for 2 years with mental health. Yeah. And then I went back to long-term care, and they've always kept me entertained. A lot of my problems, like when I work in facilities and stuff, it's never been a patient. Yeah. It's always been, co-workers that, just they're there. Yeah. And it's like, come on, guys, we're here to take care of these folks. That might be you laying in that bed one day. Yeah. You don't know.
Yeah. I mean, nowadays it's crazy. I hope that we're in a place now where I feel like people are starting to care about each other a little more. We're starting to realize that.
Well, I think part of the problem was when COVID was going on. That's when people started getting on social media, taking shots at each other.
Totally.
And one of the things I learned years ago when I used to be a bartender in this great area of Hermitage was that one of the things you didn't talk about in a bar was religion and politics.
Yep.
The next thing I know, I'm looking on Facebook, Instagram, and people are talking about politics and religion. And I'm like, guys,
This is bad.
and you're not going to change somebody's mind. Their political mind is going to be that way. Mine's going to be that way. We can still be friends at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And I think that...
Same thing with religion. You know, you might be a Baptist and you might be a Jewish. You might be Catholic, but I'm not going to change your religion. You're not going to change mine, but we still going to be friends at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think it's got to be like that. We're so far on the opposite spectrum of that right now with hate speech and everything that I feel like the only way it can go is this way, hopefully. I mean, that's what it seems like everybody's kind of aiming towards. And I think for the first time, we're starting to realize, like, for a long time, the United States was such a powerhouse, and so... like, you didn't fuck with the U.S., right? We were the big brother, and now for the first time ever, we're realizing that there's other countries that are over, they're mass-producing stuff more than we are. They have more currency exchange than we do, and we're starting to realize, like, oh, we got to care about ourselves a little bit and our internal community, and I feel like, you know, I mean, that's the name of the game right now is, like, just how do we fix all these things that are going on, or how do we make them better, all these internal issues that are going on within the country. Is my take. And like you said, everybody can get along. It's so polarizing, but you know what it is. It's all money.
Oh, like I said, my thing was when COVID happened and everybody had nothing to do and started taking shots at each other.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought happened. You know, people got really brave on social media. Let's talk like this, but you know, you go over and talk to that person and, you know, face to face.
It's not
a whole different animal.
Yeah,
you don't
totally.
do that. You know,
Yeah.
Come on, guys, don't be doing that on social media.
Yeah. It's the greatest. It's. I always say that social media is like the greatest gift and the worst curse, because like even for me, it's like I love this thing because it's the greatest tool for me to post my music and get my music out there. But it is the worst curse because the moment that I start comparing myself to other people, I'm like, you're not doing good enough. Or why did he sell this many tickets? You sold this many tickets. Or why is he booming and my music is better? Or whatever, all this shit. And what I realized is like that's why I like to do what's called post and ghost. I just post my shit. I answer my DMs. And they're like, "Did you see so and so's story?" I'm like, "Nope." They're like, "Did you see that TikTok? You know the song going viral?" I'm like, "Nope." Like, I try to just stay out of it because I think the best thing you can do is use it as a tool. Because it is an amazing tool. We wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for
like I said, with social media, I grew up in a different era with concerts, and I've always been a concert fan. But back when I was growing up in concert with the 80s, the only concerts you would know would be your arena shows. You would know nothing about these little small venues because you didn't really have the social media tools back then, so you wouldn't know if it wasn't coming into Municipal Auditorium, Bridgestone went back then. I don't even remember what the name of it was back then.
Yeah, but any of these shows...
If you didn't know back then, if it wasn't playing in Municipal, you had no clue about the basement. You had no clue about the exit in. You had no clue about Marathon Works. You didn't know about these smaller venues back then. You only knew...
That's how the underground scene arose.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it became a thing, you know, underground. It's not really a thing anymore because you do know.
Right.
Because of socials, but... Back in the day, it's like, there's this guy I really love. You guys should check him out if you don't know about him. Low Cut Connie. He's out of Philadelphia. He's a very underground guy, but I found him and I was like, man, this guy is a great writer. Makes really cool music, puts on a great show. And it's crazy because it's like, he has like 40,000 monthly listeners or something like that. But he goes and he'll sell, like, I think he sold 1,000 tickets in Minneapolis. You know, and I'm like, this dude's been touring for 11 years and nobody knows about him besides his fan base. And I was like, that's the amazing part is that nowadays, like you said, because of socials, because it's such a great gift that we have.
Like of all artists I've ever seen use social media, the one that always gets everybody's attention is Ronnie Radke from Falling in Reverse, because he'll post something way left field and derogatory about somebody, and the next thing you know, his Twitter's blowing up. It's like, what did you just do that time? What did he just say? I mean, he was on one today, and I'm like, God.
Yeah.
And he's the bad guy of music right now. And he was my generation's Axl Rose. That was the bad guy back in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know, back then, you couldn't put a camera phone. Well, we didn't have camera phones back then, but you couldn't be recording music or stuff in a venue back then. That was You know, that was piracy back then. They take video cameras and everything away from you back then.
Yeah.
And it's changed.
Crazy.
Now.
So different now. But a blessing. A blessing. I think it's all about how you look at it, right? Like my mom said this, I had to get this roof replaced. And I get back from this tour and I had a little extra money in my pocket because of the On the Road Again thing from Live Nation. Thank you, Live Nation. Even though you own everything and you're a monopoly, thank you for giving me the money at Willie Nelson at Live Nation. And I was like, yes, I got this extra money. I'm going to do all these things. I have ideas. This is the gear I'm going to buy. I'm going to start recording this album, all this shit. And then my roof was leaking. So I'm like, fuck, I got to get a new roof. So calling my mom, talking to my mom, like, fuck, I got to get a new roof. I got to get a new roof. My mom is actually, well, I don't need to go into it, but she's recovering from, you know, she had a problem with alcohol too and stuff. So, you know, I'm calling her and talking to her, and this is after she had already been in recovery and everything. And I'm talking to her, and I'm like, man, my roof is leaking. And she's like, well, at least you have a roof. And I was like, damn. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, I'm just saying, you have a roof. And it took me like 3 times of her saying it before I was like, man, she has such a good, like, she's having to do this because of what she's going through to change her mentality. But if you really look at it like that, anything, all of a sudden your life becomes easy. All of a sudden everything that went wrong went right. It's like I talked about this in the last interview. It was like, oh, we're on the road, sprinter tire goes out. It's like, fuck man, tire blew. No, you say that, or you could be like, hey man, we got a tire. We got a van. Like that's the mentality. If you look at it like that, if you look at this like a curse, it's a curse. The moment I start comparing myself to somebody on social media, it all goes downhill. But the moment I just go on there and I'm like, I see a friend doing cool and I like just comment something. That's my time. Comment something nice, you know? I feel good. It's like if I go on there and I see Noah Flores, who's another amazing artist you should look up in Nashville, based here. Oh my God, this video is amazing, man. Keep going. And then I get off the phone, feel great. Get on the phone and I start looking at something, I start having the negative thoughts and I go in a hole and I'm like, man, how's this guy selling 1,000 tickets? And I'm not, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden you go to sleep, you're like, man, I feel like shit. So it's really your mentality with all these things. Sorry, I got to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Hopefully that was good enough.
It's always good, you know, and we appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah.
Follow my man.
Instagram.
BabyJake. Senior moment. Remember, I'm old.
That's okay.
I'm old. BabyJake on Instagram, Facebook.
All of it.
Pornhub,
all of it. It's BabyJake. It's BabyJake on all of it.
I couldn't find you on Facebook.
Oh, maybe it's just BabyJake on there then.
Okay.
I'm not sure. But yeah, it should be on there.
Well, every time I popped it up on Facebook, it said, tonight at the exit in.
That's good.
That's a good
At least
thing.
that's working.
Yeah. And catch us on Outlander. We're going to wrap this up and we head to the show. Peace.
I was trying to bring you down tonight, like I went to Spain. Here we go again. But I was smoking cigarettes on patios. I was throwing money in the air. Maybe I should pay that shit I got. Bet my night on luck. Here we go again. But I was smoking cigarettes on patios. Then the neighbors called it off. Oh shit. Never thought I'd be a criminal. Mama made a promise. Let's side to the next damn party in the neighborhood. Might just got it, but I'm making up. Just might run away. Forever today. Everything say, hey, jump, jump.